Why, hello there, lost family. Or maybe you're new here, a wanderer just stumbling onto the Lost Gamer's path. Either way, the journey begins again. Today, we are exploring the murky depths of Reddit. Am I the a-hole? So stay close. It's easy to get lost out here. I don't know how my mic is gonna do. The plug is kind of mangled, so I'm a little bit worried that it's not actually working. I guess we'll find out. If it's not, then I guess it'll probably be my laptop microphone, which probably wouldn't be terribly good. I apologize if that's the case, but I guess we'll just get into the video. Am I the a-hole for getting a woman fired over VeggieTales? Well, I'm already liking that. I like VeggieTales. I don't know why this is a fireable offense, but we'll find out. My wife and I unfortunately have our son in daycare. It's unavoidable. A few months ago, I picked him up, and when I asked about his day, he told me about a show they watched with cartoon vegetables. When I dropped him off the next day, I asked the teacher if they watched VeggieTales. She said they didn't show the kids anything inappropriate. Well, that's, terribly inspecific. I asked, but did they watch VeggieTales? She refused to give me a straight answer. Yeah, that's really weird. Why dodge the question? If you get to choose what the kids watch, then like why are you being evasive on whether you're showing them VeggieTales? At least VeggieTales isn't like adult or inappropriate. It's a kid's show. She refused to give me a straight answer. I said I don't want him to watch VeggieTales. She said he wasn't going to be allowed to watch anything inappropriate. Again, not specific. I don't really know, like, in that circumstance, how much you can dictate what your kids watched. It's like, at one point when I was a kid, I wasn't really supposed to be watching TV at all, but I was in public school at that time, and they had movies, sometimes they put on movies, and it's not like my guardians at the time couldn't really prevent me from watching TV at school. I don't think they could dictate to the school if they were allowed to show all the kids a movie or what kinds of movies they were allowed to put on, as long as it was child appropriate, So, yeah. I'm not entirely sure how much he can really, I don't know if the parent in this situation really can control a lot about that, but there's also a chance that they aren't supposed to be showing anything of a religious nature. I just don't know. You can let me know if you know more details on that kind of stuff. I don't really understand having a problem with the VeggieTales. Like, I do get that it's religious, but I don't know, even if you're not terribly religious, I don't fully get it, but I don't know. I guess. I don't feel like most kids honestly get, like, very indoctrinated or churchy from it. I feel like most kids watching it just have fun with it, and sometimes you learn a good lesson from it. It's like, when I was a kid, I watched the Jonah one, the Jonah movie, VeggieTales movie, and I learned about empathy, and I was kind of able to draw a connection there between people that didn't seem to have empathy and people that did, but I don't remember it being like a super religious indoctrination type of experience for me, but I don't know. I guess every kid is kind of different on that too, which, as a side note, I don't have a problem with religion either, which is probably obvious. I don't know. And I don't have a problem with people that aren't and don't want that in their lives. So ultimately, I don't have a problem with them having a problem with the VeggieTales so much, but I guess I don't really understand making a big issue out of it either. But I'm also just not very confrontational. I probably would be a little bit more if, like, I found out that my kids, I don't have any kids, but if I had kids, and they were being exposed to, like, Jehovah Witness specific type stuff or Mormon stuff, I might have more of a problem with that, which, again, if you are a Jehovah Witness or a Mormon, I don't have a problem with you, but I wouldn't really want my kids going into that. There's nothing wrong with it, though. Um, so I could understand that, like, if they were showing them specific sect related, like the sect of Christianity type of thing, that was not what they were in line with. I could understand that a bit more, but anyway, I'm rambling, and I don't really need to be rambling on and on and on about this. Let's get back into the post. She said he wasn't going to be allowed to watch anything inappropriate. That day when I got home, I asked, "Did you watch VeggieTales?" He did. I emailed the administration. They assured me no VeggieTales. Okay, well that's where it comes to lying, and that's that is outrageous. I don't know of any other show that has talking vegetables. If you do, you can let me know, but yeah, if the parent is being told that there are no VeggieTales, they're not showing the kids that, and that's a lie, that's messed up. It is a non-approved media to show the kids. Okay, so why are the kids being shown VeggieTales if it's not an approved media? I'm guessing this is kind of a non-religious. They don't want to expose the kids to anything religious in case some parents disapprove, which is very sensible, very good, fine. But yeah, why are they being shown VeggieTales if it's not approved? It continues, it has never and will never be shown. Okay. The next week I asked, "Did you watch VeggieTales?" Yep. I reached out again and am told maybe my son is confused. Right. So I wait a week, ask my boss if I can leave early. Walk past the receptionist. She told me to stop, but I didn't. Honestly, yeah, I think that's fair. If you want to come all the way into the building and see your kid, I don't really think the receptionist should be trying to stop you. Because, all kinds of terrible things can be going on that you don't know about that are far worse than being shown VeggieTales. So I think you should be able to check in on your kids and make sure everything's fine whenever you want. Anyway, she told me to stop, but I didn't. Into the main room, and boom, there it was, VeggieTales. I took a picture. I was given a warning for barging in. Fair. Honestly, no, I don't think that's fair. Because these people are dealing with small children, I think they should expect to be barged in on whenever the parent feels like it. As long as the parent is being appropriate and not like being belligerent or rude, causing a scene, drunk, anything like that. But if they're just coming in to check on their kid, they should be allowed to come in whenever they want, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I don't think so. Anyway, fair. But the administration promised the VeggieTales thing would be solved. The teacher had to take all the tapes home, and she would not be able to bring in tapes ever again. That's fair, for sure. Next week, did you watch VeggieTales? No, Dad. Great. Following week, did you watch VeggieTales? Yep. So I emailed again. At this point, I start getting other people involved. The Anti-VeggieTales Coalition. Even some of the Christian parents were annoyed. Well, yeah, I would be annoyed at the idea that they are claiming one thing, that your children will not be exposed to the show, and they are. Anytime you're being lied to about what your children are experiencing when they're away from you, that's a huge red flag. What else might they be lying about, One woman watches it at home with her daughter and said she didn't want it watched at daycare because if her daughter had questions, she wants to be asked, not the teacher. Yeah, that's very fair. Great. Join the Anti-VeggieTales Coalition. The resolution was the teacher got fired. Honestly, that's very deserved. She kept on going against policy by the sounds of it, lying to the parents and hiding everything. It doesn't sound like she has any business taking care of other people's kids. Now there's backlash against me. People feel bad. They feel guilty. It's all my fault. I pressured them into making it a big deal. They're just animated vegetables. Even my wife said I pulled a me and went on the warpath. Am I the a-hole, or should she have left her animated vegetables at home? I would lean towards no, I mean, if you got really ugly, then maybe, but it sounds like you were just pointing out that she's going against policy and lying to the parents. It doesn't sound like she needed to be working with kids if she lies. She feels comfortable lying about what she's exposing other people's children to and going against company policy. Not the a-hole, they said your child wasn't watching VeggieTales, but the teacher showed it numerous times after you were told it wasn't being shown. If they would lie about that, what else are they lying about exactly? She clearly wasn't watching it with them, or she'd know lying is bad. Bob and Larry would be very disappointed in her. I agree. The teacher clearly wanted to be a martyr. That definitely could be the case. The fact that the teacher repeatedly lied to your face about what she was showing your kids is enough reason to get fired. Don't lie to the parents, not the a-hole. I agree. Between that and going against daycare policy, ... yeah, that's my thought. If you're willing to go against the wider policy even, and lie about what you're showing kids, that is a huge issue. Yes, those are the actual big issues. Lying to parents and not following policy are big issues. I agree. Wild how someone trying to expose children to Christian media behind their parents' and bosses' backs lies about doing it to everyone's faces. Maybe she should spend some time watching VeggieTales because obviously she has a lot to learn about being honest. If they watched it once and OP went in and yelled at everyone and got them fired, then they would be the a-hole, for sure. But the teacher got fired for lying to parents and lying to their bosses. Yeah, repeatedly. For sure. Aside from the argument about VeggieTales, she was lying to parents about stuff involving their kids. Unacceptable. Agreed. Sounds like she was lying to her bosses, too. Yeah, this person says if the daycare bosses aren't circulating around the rooms enough to know that VeggieTales is routinely being shown in class, then the program director should have been fired too. I tend to agree with that, yeah. Also, if you are so intent on teaching lessons from the Bible, why are you lying? For sure. Anyway, let's move on to the next story, shall we? Am I the a-hole for explaining the consequences of his actions to my son? I would lean towards no, given the title. My family lives in Canada. This is important. My kid was being bullied at school. He is a big kid, and I have always told him to resolve his problems with words. That's good. I've told him to report bullying to teachers, and if they don't listen, to tell the principal. Also to tell me and his mom, so we can follow up. Seems like good advice. My son's after-school program is a Taekwondo class. Also important. He's been in Taekwondo since he was in kindergarten. He also plays hockey. There are a group of kids at his school that have been a-holes to my kid and his friends. My kid did the right thing and told the teacher monitoring recess. She told him that the kids were new to Canada and that they didn't know how to fit in yet. Well, aren't you supposed to be teaching them how to fit in and that bullying isn't okay? I'm really confused by that. It's fine to encourage children to be empathetic and give people grace. But isn't it also your job to prevent bullying? And to teach kids new to the region to be kind and have empathy as well? To kind of fit into the customs of Canadian schooling? I don't know. Anyway, it continues. He went to the principal and got told pretty much the same thing. So he told his mom. She wanted to go confront the parents, and she likely would have ended up in custody. She's Irish, like real Irish from Ireland, not Marky Mark Irish. I told her I would take care of it. I made an appointment to talk to the principal and teacher, along with my son. I went into the meeting with a simple goal, to stop the bullying. The principal and teacher both tried the same excuse on me, that these kids were newcomers and weren't fully aware of how Canada was different from their home country and what they saw on American TV. Well, again, isn't it your job to educate them and to help them start fitting in better? You shouldn't be standing by and letting children be harmed because they're new here. You have to enforce boundaries and teach them Canadian customs, no? If you have an opinion on that, you can let me know. Like, obviously, you have to be gentle with kids, but it would be their jobs, along with the parents, of course, to correct their children's behavior. I asked what was being done to stop it, and they said they had talked to the boys. I asked if the parents had been brought in and talked to. He said no. See, the parents should have been brought in. Why are the parents not being involved? It's good that the teacher and principal talk to the kids, but the parents also need to be involved so they know there's a problem.
At least it's clean.
I'm sure the parents want their kids to fit in and be kind to people. It continues. Okay, so I turned to my kid and I explained that in Canada, kids under 12 years old cannot be charged with a crime. In fact, they can't even be arrested. Worst case scenario, if anything happened, he might have to do some community service. The principal and teacher went crazy telling me that I can't tell him that. Yes, he can. He can tell his kids whatever he wants. I asked them if I was lying. They both shut up. I pointed to them and told my kid to remember that they didn't say I was wrong. I told him to tell me in a week if he was still being bullied. My understanding is that all the bullies' parents were called in and told to control their children. Good, that's a win. The bullies were also given library detention instead of recess for a month. Good. I'm satisfied with the results, but teacher and principal seemed upset. Yeah, because they actually have to do their jobs. My wife thinks I should have given him the information privately. Well, then nothing would have happened. Maybe she's hoping that her kid would get in a fight, but it sounds like he was probably outnumbered. I don't know that for sure, but there's kind of an indication that that might be the case. Do you really want your kid getting into a fight where he's outnumbered? He might be perfectly fine because he does have that taekwondo background, but it's better that it was resolved peacefully, for sure, in my opinion. This person says, no, I think you did good by your son. You asked the appropriate questions, you asked that more be done, and when the school showed little to no willingness to step up, you informed your son that he could stand up for himself. More importantly, you put the school on notice without uttering a threat or a single word for that matter. Yeah, he didn't directly threaten anything. He just gave his son a little lesson in law. He says, I would never. You, I like you, that person says. Your response was peak. You handled it well, didn't cause a scene or escalation, and made your point effectively while standing up for your kid and not belittling anyone in the situation. Amazing role modeling, I agree. It's the school's job to keep kids safe. I'd wager saying that in front of the admin was better, since if you said it to your kid privately, those other kids would probably have had to eat some punches, and your kid might end up in trouble at school. Probably so. Somehow bullied kids fighting back seems to be the problem rather than the kids that pushed them there in the first place. I agree. Plus lack of response from the school. Yes. This person says, you, son, here are the rules. They get to play by these. You do too. Principal, Pikachu face. I don't think he could have done a better job. Yeah, I tend to agree. There's really not much else he could have done. And I don't think the wife's idea would have ended particularly well. The comment continues, they're having a hard time fitting in. It's pure enablest BS. They're the problem. Both they and their parents need to get their ish together and do so fast. If someone responds in horror that you won't roll over and do what is convenient for them, it's a sign they don't give an ish about doing right by you in the first place. I agree. Okay, let's move on to the next one, shall we? The next one isn't really parenting related, and it's pretty short. It's about cats, and I like it because cats. It's also just kind of silly. It's not like a super fun story, I wouldn't say, but it's a little fun, so I figured it's a good ending one. And my voice, for some reason, is giving me trouble, even though I haven't been talking for that long this time. I don't know why. Anyway, am I the a-hole for questioning my wife's intelligence regarding our cats? My wife and I just purchased our first home, and we finally have a kitchen bigger than a postage stamp. Somewhere we can actually cook and not just microwave stuff and reheat leftovers. We agreed that we did not want our 2 cats walking around on the food prep surfaces. I had a spray bottle that I was using to discourage them, but she said it was mean and mistreatment. I mean, it's not terribly nice, but that's kind of the point. It's to deter them from wanting to walk on the counters. It continues, so I went online to look for solutions. I found out that cats hate tinfoil. So I put it on the counter and stovetop. It totally works. That's pretty cool. I might have to try that someday. I'm allergic to cats, so that's another reason I don't have them, but I do really like cats, so I don't know. I might have to keep that in mind. It totally works. But yesterday I came home to find my wife showing the cats it was safe to step on. Why? Is she using her brain? That's just so stupid. The whole point is to keep the cats from walking on the counters. That's the whole point of the exercise. It's just so silly. They have a whole house they can explore. They don't need to be on the counters. Anyway, he continues, I asked her what the F she was doing. She said that the cats were acting scared of the foil. That's the whole point, lady. That's the whole point. That's the whole dang point. I asked her why we put the foil on the counter. She said it was to keep the cats off the counter, so why is she now trying to get them on the counter? Yeah, I think it's fair to insult her intelligence on this one. I don't usually recommend insulting your wife's intelligence, but that one's a little bit wild. So I asked her why any intelligent person would try to teach the cats that it was okay to step on the counters when they were covered in the foil. She said when we cooked we could remove the foil and the counters would be clean underneath. Why? They don't need to be on the counters. And that's just kind of inconvenient. I wouldn't want to have foil on my counters from here on out. I would want that to be a temporary solution because it's just another layer of inconvenience to cooking, and I wouldn't want to deal with that. That is just crazy. I'm wondering if she doesn't do the cooking. Because, I mean, I personally wouldn't want any added layer of inconvenience. Cooking is already inconvenient enough. Cleaning the kitchen is already inconvenient enough. I wouldn't want to have foil on my counters regularly that I would be needing to move regularly. No thanks. As a temporary solution, fine. It continues, I just shook my head and grabbed a beer. I am seriously considering going child-free just in case this is genetic. That's kind of fair. Am I the a-hole for questioning her thought process? No. No, and on the child-free comment, children need boundaries as well. They need to be corrected, and the fact that she is so against doing anything to keep cats from doing something you don't want it gives me every indication that as a mother she would be 1000% permissive no matter what the children do, and you would be the only one setting any boundaries. And that would not be fair. It is not a fair setup to have one parent be the total bad guy and have the other parent going behind them and contradicting everything they do. So, honestly, I don't think it's probably a genetic issue, but I don't think it would probably be a great idea to have kids with her. Anyway, am I the a-hole for questioning her thought process? Like, what does she think the cats will do when we remove the foil and start making food? Exactly. If they're used to being on the counters, they're gonna be on the counters, especially while you're making food. It's just crazy. Maybe you could have phrased it differently, but not the a-hole. She knew the purpose and then decided to show them it's okay to walk on. Now completely defeating the point. Facepalm emojis. Yeah. Maybe she genuinely thought the foil was meant to be a shield to protect the counter from the dirty feet, as opposed to a preventative measure to keep them off entirely. I honestly don't think so. I think she knew exactly what the purpose was. I think she is just that permissive that she just doesn't think that any amount of discomfort or inconvenience for a pet or a child is acceptable. The comment continues, this is a very dumb thought, but people never cease to amaze me with their idiocy. Yes. Someone commented under that. He asked her what the purpose was, and she responded. She knew 100% why the foil was there. Yes. This person says, I have aluminum foil on my stove because I'm tired of washing cat hair off of it several times a day. My cats were never afraid of it, and I have pictures of some of them sleeping on it. And I've used sleeping on it after I've used the oven. Well, maybe that isn't the solution for getting cats then. I just don't really like cats being on the counters either. And really, you're not going to prevent it. Especially if they aren't actually afraid of foil. Even if you do the spray bottle method, as soon as you're not in the room, they're gonna be up there. That's my personal opinion. So, between that and me being allergic, I probably just won't get a cat, but they are cute. I attempted to get my cat trained to not jump on my laptop with aluminum foil. It was a fail. Not only was she fine walking on it, she kept chewing it. Oh, hooray. Very nutritious, I'm sure. Same, I tried foil that she loved. I tried sticky tape that she licked. I tried motion-activated air sprayers that she learned how to not set off, so they always just went off on the humans. Yep, that makes sense. Cats are very smart. That doesn't shock me. I tried precarious piles of cookie sheets so she would be afraid of falling off, which dented my cookware and one of the spots on the floor. But she can see when isn't up there and act accordingly. Yes, I gave up. This guy's cats have an easy off button, and his wife's ruining that. That's for sure. Okay, I guess with that, our little adventure comes to an end here, for now. But the path never truly does. If you enjoyed getting lost with me, show me with a like or a comment. It helps me and my channel far more than you know. And if you wish to keep traveling these hidden trails, please subscribe, and I'll see you when the path reveals itself again. Bye for now.